a medic, and the stories are related. So what do we find out now about Alex Preddy, the guy that got shot? Well, when he gets shot, what does the media say about him? Well, first of all, they produce an AI edited picture of him. Anybody catch that? So this guy is an ugly freak. He just looks like a freak. He's got unkempt facial hair, weird physiognomy. He looks like a weird dude. The first thing the media does is they produce this AI-enhanced photo of him that makes him look like a total catch, makes him look really handsome. This is what they do, okay? This is the facelift. Then, how do they portray it on social media? They say he was a veteran. He was a nurse. He was a concealed carry permit holder. He was a medic. This white U.S. citizen, a veteran, a healer, a medic, selflessly went to Minneapolis to look after his fellow citizens. And he was gunned down because he tried to protect two ladies that were being apprehended by ICE. That's the story they tell us. And this is a psyop, and it worked. And you have all of these like right-wing Trump supporters. You have all these macho guys, all these 2A guys, libertarians, far-right guys. They're all going, what the fuck? Our government, our surveillance state, our totalitarian police regime just gunned down. I don't care if he was left-wing. He was one of us. He was white, blah, blah. It worked. Well, what do we know about him now? Yesterday, we get a statement from his family. What does the family say? His own parents say he's acting really weird. His behavior is totally strange. He hasn't shown up to work in months. We told him not to confront ICE, and he kept going anyway. So this guy went off the goop. Maybe he was a medic. Maybe he was a healer until he decided to dedicate his life to being some kind of socialist revolutionary. So he was a medic and a veteran, but he isn't anymore. Now he is some kind of left-wing nut job that has dedicated his life to fighting for Somalian scammers. It gets better. Now we have a video that is resurfaced. It has been going around for weeks. Before his confrontation, which ended in his death over the weekend, he got in another altercation with ICE. There's at least one, maybe two other altercations that we know about. One of the altercations resulted in a broken rib. The other one was caught on video. This is from the New York Times. It says, quote, "The nurse who was fatally shot by federal agents in Minneapolis on Saturday was pushed to the ground by different agents at a protest 11 days before he was killed, according to a newly unearthed video that shows him spitting and cursing at ICE and kicking a taillight and breaking it on one of their SUVs. The footage adds to what is known about the 37-year-old nurse, Alex Preddy, who was killed by federal agents on Saturday morning after they pepper sprayed him and pushed him and a woman to the ground, a killing that set off protests in the Twin Cities and across the country. In the earlier incident on January 13th, Mr. Preddy, wearing some of the same clothing as when he was killed, can be seen running toward a street corner where a crowd of protesters have gathered and are jeering at federal agents. He screams at agents, "What are you doing here?" He repeatedly curses at them, spits at one agent as he is getting into a vehicle. When the agents drive away, Mr. Preddy kicks twice at one of the vehicle's taillights, breaking it. That seems to prompt agents to get back out of the vehicle and push him to the ground. The agents, some of whom are with Homeland Security investigations, hold Preddy on the ground for about 20 seconds before letting him go and driving off. As Mr. Preddy gets back to his feet, what appears to be a gun is seen tucked into the back waistband of his pants. During the later confrontation with agents in which Mr. Preddy was killed, he had a gun holstered on his hip. Okay, so I've seen enough. Fuck this guy. Seriously. He is not a hero. He is not a martyr. He is not a patriot. As a matter of fact, he shouldn't even be considered a citizen. Fuck this guy. And I don't care that he died. 100% justified. Good riddance. Bye. One less piece of shit in the world. Good riddance. This is not a nurse, a veteran, whatever. This is a psycho. Who does this? Think about how psycho you have to be. This guy is out there and can barely contain himself. There is no restraint. This is not normal. No normal person does this. You want to go to a protest? Knock yourself out. You want to get bundled up in your parka. You want to go and bring your coffee and hold up a sign. You want to go with a friend and make your voice heard. God bless you, honestly. That is your First Amendment right to speech, to assembly. We do live in a free society. Hey, God bless you. You want to go in daylight on a weekend or a normal day. You want to stand in a public place with your coat on and make your case. That is your prerogative. This is completely different. You have people going about their lives and in private, in conversations with coworkers and family and friends, they might not agree with what is happening. Some of them might feel very strongly and commit themselves to activism. Maybe they bring a box of Dunkin' Donuts to the protest. Maybe they make a sign and they go to the demonstration. Again, I don't agree with it. God bless you. This is somebody who is clearly on a mission. He is out there to confront law enforcement operatives. You know, that's different. It is one thing to go in public and apply pressure to policymakers and voters. In a democracy, we have a representative form of government and we have elections. So if you want to go out in a public place that is owned by the people and you want to get your message out to prospective voters or to the representatives of the voters, again, that is how we do things in the country. But this guy is chasing law enforcement agents. Law enforcement is not elected. They are not representatives. These are people that have a job. These are people that have a job. They are public servants. They're working for the elected officials. And they are involved every day in life or death situations. Why do you think they carry guns? Because they are getting, in some cases, into violent altercations, physical altercations that could lead to death or serious bodily harm. So you have a guy who he's not going to a protest. He's not a demonstrator. He is a terrorist. He is out there, he is an outlaw at the minimum. At the minimum, he is an outlaw. He is there to confront law enforcement and harass them, attack them, dox them, interfere in their operations. Do you think it's a coincidence that he happens to be at a place where a crowd of people is gathered around an ICE vehicle? Most people have jobs. Most people have a life. So how are you summoned to a random street corner where a group of people has spontaneously mobilized where ICE is carrying out an arrest? That means you are on top of it. You are in a group chat coordinating with people, sitting around waiting to be activated to go and assault cops. And then he sees cops. He is completely taken over by emotion, by rage. And you see the video, these are uncontrolled body movements. It's not like he's standing there holding up the sign and ICE is pushing them back or something like that, a familiar scene. No, he is aggressive, uncontrolled, unrestrained, flailing around, running up on ICE, screaming, "Fuck you, what are you doing here?" Spitting on them, flailing, kicking their car, kicking a car. Kicking the car, breaking the taillight. That's someone who is insane. That is a violent nut job. And by the way, that's a crime. Spitting on a cop is assault. How is that a protest? Spitting on cops that are leaving the scene. It's not like some guy is brutalizing you and in an act of defiance, you are aggressively running towards ICE, confronting them as they leave, spitting on them, screaming at them, kicking their vehicle and breaking it. This cocksucker should be in jail. Those are multiple crimes. I mean, you could throw the book at this guy. None of that is legal. None of that is defensible. Who behaves like this? They throw him to the ground and then they let him go. They throw him to the ground and then they let him go. And by the way, he does all this with a loaded gun in his waistband. So imagine you're a federal cop. You are federal law enforcement representing the United States of America. Some deranged lunatic is running at you, screaming, spitting, kicking, and oh, he has a visible loaded gun in his waistband in his pants. What are you supposed to do? Now, in this situation, they throw him to the ground and then they let him go. This tells us so much. One, it tells us everything we need to know about this guy and what he was doing there and what his intentions are and what his end game is. Now we know who this person is just by that alone. But then it also tells us something about ICE, which is people are saying this is an uncontrollable Gestapo made up of undisciplined thugs. If that's the case, why didn't this guy get arrested? He assaulted an officer. He vandalized their vehicle. He's got a loaded gun. They apprehend him. They let him go. He didn't get punched in the face. He didn't get kicked in the teeth. He didn't get put in handcuffs. He didn't get taken away. He didn't get shot. Now, there's another story that he got thrown to the ground by ICE in a different altercation and broke his ribs. So this guy was just doing this. This is a profile now of a guy who went crazy, stopped going to work, became part of some kind of political operation of activists that are resisting the government. And he was irregular. He is regularly getting in physical altercations with cops, clearly getting thrown to the ground all the time, spitting on them, and he's carrying a gun. And he was doing it multiple times. I guess he just did it one too many times. How many times you want to roll the dice like that? If you are making a habit out of aggressively confronting police officers while you are armed and assaulting them, yeah, eventually you're gonna fucking die. I mean, obviously. And do you know what this reminds me of? This is no different than the black people. This is no different than BLM. Do you remember when we were being told about police brutality? The cops are the new Ku Klux Klan. Their job is not to enforce the law. It is to keep black people down. They're arresting vandals and murderers and thieves. They're there to keep black people down and prevent them from having opportunities. Remember this? They said, why is it that there are so many police-involved shootings of black people? So then, all of these different states mandated body cams. And what did we see once every cop got a body cam? Once every police officer got a body cam strapped to their chest, did we see a bunch of white racist cops giggling and laughing with each other about how they're going to oppress blacks every day? No, we see them going to black people that they're driving down the highway with their taillights busted. They get pulled over, they roll down the window, a stench of weed is emitted from the car. The black person is not cooperative, says they're not going to give him an ID. They run the plate, it's a stolen car, the license is expired. There's some sort of problem. The guy's got a rap sheet 3 pages long. Then they go to apprehend the guy, and the guy takes off running, or he reaches for a gun, and then he gets mag dumped. Very different picture. And it's the same thing. You go, okay, so, you're not being pulled over for driving while black. First of all, your taillights are busted. So, that's a start. Then you don't have your paperwork in order. Then you also have a warrant. You're doing drugs. And to add to all that, you're not even cooperative. So the cops are doing their job, pulling you over. They find out you got to go to jail, and then you want to run. Then you want to run, you want to make a move, and you wind up dead on the side of the road. And at a certain point, people say, okay, so what's the expectation? How many times, how many layers, how many times you want to roll the dice? How much do you think you can get away with here, actually? It's the same thing with the black people. Okay, so you got all kinds of vehicle violations. You have drugs in the car. You got a warrant out, and you're not cooperating, and you're resisting. And people go, shoot him in the leg. Well, they didn't have to kill him. Well, why'd they shoot him 20 times? They should have shot him, like once and then seen if he was okay. No, at a certain point, you got to start handing out the death penalty. We don't want to live in a society with people like this, and you just can't. And by the way, think about it this way. You're in the middle of the story here where a police officer is in a fist fight with some criminal that they don't even know who it is. I prefer that law enforcement walk away from this encounter than a criminal. That's just me. If you're a cop pulling some degenerate over on the side of the road and you get in a physical altercation and you're rolling around, one person is in the wrong and one person is a public servant, okay? One person is a cop representing the people of the state or the city or the country, and the other person, 9 times out of 10, is somebody who is in the wrong, either because they did something wrong or they have no respect for authority. You can challenge anything. We have due process. We have a 5th and 6th Amendment. You want to fight your charge, you want to fight your case, okay, go to court. Go to court. You don't get in a fist fight with a police officer, a screaming match. It's just not how our system works. So when I see a cop and a criminal rolling around on the ground, one person is in the wrong, either for doing something wrong or because they're resisting the authorities, and the other person's a public servant. If push comes to shove, I prefer that the civil servant walks away, because one of them is putting their life on the line every day to enforce the laws. One of them is essential for the maintenance of order, and the other person is doing the wrong thing. So this is what happens with Alex Preddy. Guy gets killed, and what's the next step? The media creates this image. They AI enhance the image, they face tune him. They make him look like a Chad. They give this sob story. He was a nurse, a medic, a tireless hero, a veteran, and all of the conservatives eat this up. They say, oh, poor guy. Oh, he got treated badly because he's white. Oh, it's such a sad thing. We find out the guy's a complete scumbag. So that was a lie. And then when you look at the bigger picture here, when you start in the beginning of the story rather than the middle, you realize it was only a matter of time before this was going to happen. Maybe his SIG didn't go off accidentally this time and a mistake wasn't made. How many times do you think you can aggressively run up on a cop, assault him with a gun in your pants and extra magazines in your car before you get blown away? I mean, honest to God, how many times do you think you can get away with that? How many times do you think reasonably you can do that and never have any consequences? And it goes back to the same thing with Renee Good. When, if ever, are there any consequences for anybody in this society? You come in illegally, you can't be deported. You broke the law, but they say, oh, well, but they've been here a long time, but they're a nice guy. Okay, but they shouldn't be here. You're a Somalian scammer. You're taking $8 billion from the state. Homeland Investigations comes in, and that is who Alex Preddy attacked in this instance. So again, there's no accountability for scammers. Then you get the nut jobs that show up, like Renee Good and Alex Preddy. They want to get in the face of police. The lesbian wife is saying, come and get it, big boy. Drive, drive, drive. She goes to run over a cop. People say, well, you didn't have to shoot her. Alex Preddy's running up with a gun in his waistband. Well, you didn't have to shoot him. He was disarmed. Oh, sorry, they didn't see that when they're being surrounded by nut jobs blowing whistles. At a certain point, there's got to be accountability. And this is what is so saddening about all of it, is when do the law-abiding, decent people grow the balls to say, you know what? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. We need that kind of fortitude and conviction behind what we are doing to say, you know what, I can tolerate this guy dying. It just speaks to how weak our coalition is. We don't want to win. We don't want to win. We're not taking it seriously enough. If one of these people dies, people go, all right, well, let's just give up. We got 50 million illegals in the country, whatever the number is. It's so corrupt. It's so bad. Like our country is gone. Venezuelans are taking over apartment buildings. They're stealing shit out of your car. It's burglary crews. They're looting the welfare system. One asshole dies and conservatives want to lay down and say, never mind, forget it. Just let our country go. I don't want to see another protester die. And you go, wow, we have no stomach for this. And that's when you realize we shouldn't even start fighting if we can't take the heat like this. Then it gets better. So get a load of this. Now the Democrats in the Senate are going to shut down the government to impose restrictions on ICE. It's literally George Floyd. George Floyd is a scumbag, dies because he is stupid. Everybody says it's brutality, so what do? We handcuff the police. Body cams, abolish the police, defund the police, put restrictions on them, and what do we get? Crime everywhere. Crime wave. Same story. Some scumbag dies because of his own stupid decisions. Everybody freaks out. Now what are the Democrats doing? They want to defund the cops, body cams, take their masks off, put the handcuffs on them. So Friday, there is a deadline for a $1.7 trillion appropriations bill. It funds a half dozen government departments and agencies. In order for the bill to pass, it needs 60 votes in the Senate. Republicans only have 53, 54 with a tiebreaker. So they're going to need 6 Democrats to come over and vote for this thing. They were going to vote for it. After the death of this protester, the leader of the Democrats, Chuck Schumer, comes out and says, we, the Democrats, will not supply the votes unless we separate the spending bill. We'll pass the spending for every department and agency except for DHS, except for Homeland Security, which runs ICE and Border Patrol. They said because we will not fund Homeland Security unless they put restrictions on ICE. So they say to avert the government shutdown, let's vote on every other spending item. We'll save Homeland Security for later because we don't want to give them another dollar until they agree to put these restrictions on how ICE is handling these operations. And among the demands, they say they want ICE to take off their masks. They want ICE to wear body cameras. They want to take away some of the funding. They want to make it so that ICE cannot make an arrest without a warrant from a judge. This is just some of their demands. This is a story from the New York Times. It says, quote, Senate Democrats on Wednesday demanded that federal agents carrying out President Trump's immigration crackdown take off their masks and stop warrantless searches and arrests, laying out a list of conditions they said must be attached to a funding bill for Homeland Security ahead of a Friday shutdown deadline. Senator Chuck Schumer, the Democrat minority leader, presented Republicans with a specific proposal that Democrats said they would insist on in exchange for their votes. In addition to a prohibition on federal officers wearing masks, they also demanded that the agents wear body cameras and carry identification. Their proposal would put an end to roving patrols and require warrants issued by a judge for arrests and searches. Democrats also want the federal agents to be subject to the same use of force policies that apply to local and state law enforcement, which require those involved in violent incidents to be subject to independent investigations if they are accused of wrongdoing. He laid out the demands the day before the Senate was scheduled on Thursday to take its first procedural vote on a spending package that includes funding for Homeland Security as well as the Pentagon, State Department, and Treasury. If Republicans can't muster 60 votes to advance the legislation, which would require the support of at least 7 Democrats, it will stall with little more than 24 hours to go before the shutdown deadline. So the Democrats want ICE to be banned from wearing masks. They want them to wear body cameras. They want them to have to go to a judge to arrest or search anybody. They want them to be subject to an independent investigation if they're accused of doing something wrong. This is BLM. This is literally BLM. It's the same story. And do you know what the result is going to be? If even one of these policies passes, that is the end of deportations. It's over. Because do you know what happens? If ICE takes off their masks, then everywhere they go, they're going to be doxxed. And these cops, that's what they are. They're cops. They are going to be threatened at their homes. Their families will be threatened. They will be threatened with being unemployable, in the future. If ICE takes off their mask, every time they conduct an operation, a left-wing shithead will be there taking a picture, posting it on the group chat, saying, does anybody know this guy? Then they're going to find him, get his address. They're going to find his family, find his kids, find his wife, find everybody he knows, put it on an Antifa website, and then they're going to email the guy, and they're going to say, we're going to kill your family. We're going to kill your kids. We're going to come to your house. That's what happens. And what ICE agent is going to do their job or even stay on the job if this is the risk level? Nobody's prepared for that. I mean, these guys are making how much money per year? 90 grand? I don't know what an ICE agent makes. I think it's more than your average cop. They're making 80 grand, 100 grand a year. You can't afford security like that. You don't have options. You can't live in a gated community. I mean, these are working class people. So you're screwed. Okay, now body cameras. Body cameras, honestly, might be an improvement. That's how it was with cops. Body cameras are going to show you the kinds of things that they're facing. But even still, that's a level of self-consciousness. Cops are going to be reluctant to do what they got to do. Sometimes it gets hairy and sometimes it gets ugly. And a body camera makes you hesitate. Every time you pull the trigger, every time you draw that weapon. And that puts you in a deadly situation. Because you can't hesitate. You got to be willing to let the chips fall where they will. So what does that mean? It means they're not going to put themselves in harm's way. Same thing with the independent investigations. All these other limitations. This is about handcuffing ICE. This is about making it so that they can't go after every illegal immigrant. It's meant to slow them down. If they got to go to a judge for every warrant, if they got to go to a judge to search somebody, arrest somebody, they can't get 4,000 warrants every day. They can't get 2,000 warrants every day. That's going to grind everything down to a halt. Then they do their operations. They're not going to put themselves in a situation where they're bound up by rules of engagement and body cameras and they don't have the masks on. This is about ending the deportations. And it's the same story. And if you were one of these right-wingers that played up this Alex Preddy situation, you are a part of this. You did this. You fell for it again. This is the equivalent of posting the black square after George Floyd. This is the equivalent of hands up, don't shoot. Colin Kaepernick taking the knee. This is the same exact thing. You are sympathizing with the enemy that hates you.